fulfillment of your sins being removed. Oh, we're reading. So your
Yeah, we got
sins being removed. Go ahead.
no, we got people that aren't gonna be able to make it, so they asked to record it. So we're recording.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. So that's what when Jesus came and he died on the cross, it wasn't like, oh, he came to his own and his own received him not. The churches today as a whole twist that and it's like and make it seem something that it wasn't. It was his destiny. That's what he came to do. He came to have our iniquity put upon himself, and he delivered it to Azazel. You will not find that word Azazel in your regular English King James Version text. It was removed by the British Bible Society in early 1800s, about 1825. Okay. If you read any Hebrew Bible, if you read any Septuagint, if you read a modern text, oh, even the Catholic Bible has it written in their text that it when the Yom Kippur service takes place, that iniquity, that the goat that it fell upon, goes to Azazel. So you can thank your Protestant momos for removing that word scapegoat, which is a noun. They replaced it with, or I'm sorry, Azazel is a pronoun, is a proper noun. Okay, it's a proper noun. Scapegoat is a noun. They moved it from a person to just a generalized thinking, and it's to our detriment, but it's to our glory to search these matters out. It's to our understanding to be increased when we do study these things. So if you do not know anything about Leviticus chapter 16, you need to go do some massive studying. You need to know that like the back of your hand. Because once you understand Leviticus chapter 16, you will understand what the Messiah came to do for you and what he came to do for me. The first century believers, first, second, third century believers, all those men and women and children knew this. Why did they know it? Because the Jewish population understood that were believers, the Jewish population that was believers, they all understood that all these ceremonies and things in the Old Testament were speaking of a future event, which is for the Messiah to come. When Jesus was walking after his death, the two that were walking down the road to Emmaus, when he joined them in their walk, he started talking to them. He was explaining to them those scriptures. Hey, I had to do this. This is what I came to do. And he started explaining these scriptures to them, and that's what was going on. So, anyways, and those of us who believe ultimately are trusting and putting our trust in the Messiah, that Jesus actually did do that. He came, put our iniquity on himself, and he delivered it to Azazel in the center of the earth, just like the book of Leviticus says so. Interesting things. Okay, so last week we covered this one topic, chapter 43. I saw other lightnings. We're in the book of Enoch, by the way. I saw other lightnings and the stars of heaven, and I saw how he called by their names, and they hearkened to him. And I saw how they are weighed in a righteous balance, according to their portions of light. I saw the width of their spaces and the day of their appearing, meaning this one appears here, that one appears there, this one appears there. They're not all appearing at one time. And how their revolution produces lightning. And I saw their revolution according to the number of the angels. So, meaning that these stars are not angels. They are, it explains to us who they are here in a second. And how they keep faith with each other. Just like the sun and moon keep faith with each other, so do the angels with the believers, the elect, the chosen. How they keep faith with each other, and asked the angel who went with me, who showed me what was hidden, "What are these?" And he said to me, "The Lord of spirits has showed you their parable. These are the names of the holy, the set apart, the elect, who dwell on the earth and believe in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever." Angels don't typically dwell on earth, like living, chilling, going to the beach, hitting the swimming pool. No, that's people. So these are the names of the holy who dwell on the earth. So we're gonna so we're understanding that these stars that we see up in the heavens are a representation of the elect, a multitude beyond number, according to the book of Revelation. When John's talking about it, when Ezekiel's talking about it, when Enoch is talking about it, I saw a multitude beyond number. It could not be counted how many of these beings were people were in front of him. Quite amazing. Okay. So what that leads us to is something that we definitely want to explore. So we're gonna jump from Enoch into the book of Jasher, Jasher chapter 53. All right. Okay, so just a real quick scenario. Uh they've already come like two or three times, or this will be their second time coming into Egypt to take food. And I'm going to speed read this real quick. Okay. All right. And I'm going to start in verse 11. And Joseph had a cup from which he drank, and it was of silver, beautifully inlaid with onyx and belladum. And Joseph struck the cup in the sight of his brethren while they were sitting and eating to him. This was the obviously later on, this is going to be the cup that goes gets stuck in one of the sacks, in Benjamin's sack specifically, and he's going to use that to grab his brother and keep him with him. Okay. And Joseph said unto the men, I know by this cup that Reuben, the firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, are children from one mother. Seat yourselves to eat according to your births. Which is interesting. This goes into uh, they tend to still do this today. The Orthodox Jews, they'll sit in order of their birth. It's funny. They get it from this. They do not want to acknowledge the book of Jasher, but everything that's written in the book of Jasher is in the Talmud. All these main topics are in the Talmud, in the called the Midrash, the main core part of the Talmud. So, anyways, and he also placed others according to their births. And he said, I know that you're the youngest brother. I know that your youngest brother has no brother, and I, like him, have no brother. He shall therefore sit down with me. Benjamin went up before Joseph and sat upon the throne, and the men beheld the acts of Joseph. They were astonished at them. And the men ate and drank at that time with Joseph. And he then gave presents to them, and Joseph gave one gift to Benjamin. Manasseh, Ephraim saw the acts of their father, and they also gave presents unto him. And Oznath gave him one present, and there were 5 presents in the hand of Benjamin. And Joseph brought out wine to drink, and they would not drink. And they said, From the day which Joseph was lost, we have not drunk wine nor eaten any delicacies. And Joseph swore unto them, and he pressed them hard, and they drank plentifully with him on that day. And Joseph afterward turned to his brother Benjamin to speak with him, and Benjamin was still sitting upon the throne before Joseph. Joseph said to him, Do you have any children? And he said, your servant has 10 sons, and these are their names: Bela, Archa, Ashabal, Gera, Naaman, uh, Archie, Rosh, Muppin, Cuppim, and Ord. And I've called their names after my brother, whom I have not seen. And he ordered them to bring before him his map of the stars, whereby Joseph knew all the times. And Joseph said to Benjamin, I have heard that the Hebrews, Hebrews meaning the sons of Eber, where they get Hebrew, Eber, are acquainted with all wisdom. Do you know anything of this? And Benjamin said, your servant is knowing also in all the wisdom which my father taught me. And Joseph said to Benjamin, look now at this instrument. You know that instrument that they found in the Mediterranean Sea, just off the coast of Greece, near Italy somewhere? I can't I can't remember the name, but I'm pretty sure it was an instrument like that. They were able to look at this instrument and see some things in the stars with it. So check this out. And Benjamin said, your servant is also knowing, and Benjamin beheld the instrument with the map of the stars of heaven. And he was wise and looked therein to know where his brother was, meaning there are already 12 stars. All the brothers were taught that star is you, that star is you, that star is you. Think about this. And he was wise and looked therein to know where his brother was. And Benjamin divided the whole land of Egypt into 4 divisions. And he found that he who was sitting on the throne before him was his brother Joseph. And Benjamin wondered greatly. And when Joseph saw that his brother Benjamin was so much astonished, he said to Benjamin, what you have seen, what have you seen? And why are you astonished? And Benjamin said to Joseph, I can see by this that Joseph, my brother, sits here with me upon the throne. And Joseph said unto him, I am Joseph, your brother. Write this thing to your brethren. Behold, I will send you with them when they go away, and I will command them to be brought back again to the city, and I will take you away from them. Book of Jasher, absolutely must read. So if we understand that they had a device and were able to see the stars, and they knew by the enunciation of their father, Jacob showed them, hey, this is your star right there. This is where you are right there. Quite fascinating. And here we are reading about something very similar to this in a broader spectrum in the book of Enoch. I'm just saying. And also, for those of you who were not here last week, Daniel chapter 12, 2 through 3 also speaks about this thing. Okay. Before I move on to chapter 45, does anyone have any questions on that? Going once, going twice. All right. This is going to be some goodies. Not necessarily this chapter, but chapter 46. That's where the rubber's going to really hit the road. And we might be stuck in 46 for the rest of the day after this. Okay. And this is the second parable concerning those who deny the name of the dwelling of the holy ones, number one, and the Lord of spirits. They're denying the dwelling, that heaven is real. They deny that heaven doesn't exist. And they also deny the Lord of spirits. So a lot of people like the Sadducees, they believe that once you die, you're done. You're here for a brief second and you're gone. You're just here and gone, and there's nothing left. And in essence, by doing and following it, and this goes right along with a lot of uh, Buddhism, uh, Taoism. There's quite a few religions out there. They do not acknowledge. They believe in a um, reincarnation type. They're denying the Lord of Spirits, and they're denying that heaven exists. That's essentially what they're doing. Okay. So this is the second parable concerning those who deny the name of the dwelling of the holy ones, meaning they deny heaven, and the Lord of Spirits. So these people that do that into heaven, they will not ascend. They're they're not going to ascend. And on the earth, they will not come. Such will be the lot of the sinners who have denied the name of the Lord of Spirits, who are preserved for the day of suffering and tribulation, meaning in their lifetime, they've had no care, worry, they never stop to call upon the glorious name of Yahweh. And because they've had this smooth life or whatever, a careless life or whatever, in that course of life, that where they've had no need to call upon the Most High, that is their preservation for the suffering and tribulation that will come upon them when they see the judgment will come up when judgment comes upon them. Okay. Interesting thing. On the earth, they will not come, and we're going to cover that in just 1 second. Just remember that. On earth, they will not come. Okay. So what we're talking about now, this, they're telling you it's just like when Noah and Methuselah was going around saying, "Hey, you guys need to repent of your iniquity. You need to turn to the Father and quit doing all this witchcraft that you're doing. Quit killing each other, or else some bad things are going to happen. There's going to be a flood." Okay, that's what's going on now. Hey, if you don't stop and change your course of action, there's going to be a judgment that coming. In their case, in the days of the antediluvian world, in that case, the flood was coming. That was the judgment. But these people right here, the ones who deny the name of the Lord, they deny heaven, they do not call on the name of the Most High. It says, here comes, they're telling you, hey, this is what's going to happen. And this is what that's going to look like. I don't believe in heaven. So this will catch them by surprise when they're standing before the Son. Catch 45, verse 3. On that day, my elect one, that word, my elect one, is where they get the word Mashiach, which is translated into Messiah, which is translated into Greek, the Christ. Is hey Zach, if my audio gets stupid, I can just go straight to my phone.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe turn your camera off on your laptop, like turn your video off, and it might
Okay.
help. It might help because you don't have to like send the video and everything over as
That,
well.
sure. Is that working?
I don't know. I'll let you know. I can hear you, so
On that day, they'll sit on the throne of glory important. My elect ones. Remember, many called, few were chosen. Peter goes on to tell us, make sure, make for certain your elect. That is Second 1:10. For this reason, brothers, all the more do your utmost to make firm your calling and choosing. For if you are doing these, you will never stumble. Okay. This calling and choosing, those are his elect ones that he elected. Interesting. And the church has refused to talk about those who have called upon my name. All right. Directly to Revelation 20, verse 4. I'm going to read this multiple times a day because these next couple of chapters keep pointing to this thing. See, in Jesus said, he said to everyone, he goes, let me see, what was those verses real quick? There were some things that Jesus said that was quite fascinating. And a lot of people will read it and they don't know what it is he's talking about. Uh, let's see. Zach, could you scroll down just a little bit on the left? What verses was that about? I think what they were in Matthew about hold on, right here somewhere. Just let me find it. Oh, there we go. No, that's the darkness will be their dwellings. Um, let me try that Matthew 9:28 or 19:20. Ah, there we go. Matthew 19:28. Yeshua said to them, truly I say to you, the son of Adam or son of man sits on the throne of his esteem. You who have followed me in rebirth shall also sit on the 12 thrones, judging the tribes of Israel. It's not the only place that he talks about that. Well, people read this. Wait a minute. All of you people are going to be sitting on 12 thrones, and you're going to be judging the tribes of Israel. That completely, our American understanding, that will go completely over your head. So, this is what that looks like. If you go to Revelation 20, verse 4, I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yeshua, and because of the word of Elohim. Well, who's the word of Elohim? Yeshua is the word of Elohim. Worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark on their foreheads or upon their hands, and with the Messiah for 1,000 years. So catch this, pay close attention. I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and given to them. So here's what's going to happen when the Father comes, or when the Messiah comes. Judgment's going to be given to the Son, and the Son in turn is going to give the judgment to his elect ones. Oh boy, this is when we start reading these things in like surround sound, we start getting a clear, very, very clear picture of what this is going to look like. Okay. So on that day, my elect one, singular, will sit on the throne of glory and try their works, and their places of rest will be innumerable. and their souls will grow strong within them when they see my elect ones. So, meaning these people that are being judged are not being judged, or meaning that they are not the elect ones. So you can only assume that the fear and the dread that's going to be coming upon those guys. Their souls will grow strong within them when they see mine elect ones and those who have called upon my glorious name. Then I will cause my elect one to dwell among them. He's going to call us. Oh, wait a minute. We just got done reading about that. And they lived and reigned with the Messiah for 1,000 years. Back to Revelation chapter 4. So, what Enoch is saying is exactly what Revelation 20, verse 4 says. I will cause my elect one, singular, to dwell among them, his elect ones. And I will transform the heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the earth and make it a blessing. And I will cause my elect ones to dwell upon it. Over the course of the last few weeks, I have been multiple times referring to one of the places where it's quoted in the book of Proverbs that the wicked will not inherit the earth. Also, I have spoken a few times about how the parable that Jesus was talking about when he said, there'll be two in the field. One will be taken and the other left. There'll be two in a bed. One will be taken and one will left. The one that is taken is not the believer. The one that stays is the believer. That is completely contrary to what every Bible church out there wants to, or theological seminary has to say, because they're going under a preconceived notion that they're going to get raptured out of here. Praise Jesus. That's what they think. So it can mean nothing more than, oh, we're going to fly up out of here. When it's actually quite the completely the opposite. So I will cause mine elect one to dwell among them, and I will transform the heaven, and I will make it an eternal blessing and light. Zach, I did find that verse. If you turn to Hosea chapter 2, Hosea chapter 2, let me find it real quick. It's right after Daniel. Hosea 2. Hmm, wait a minute. No, I'm not in the right one. Hold on. 221. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's go to verse. We'll just start at 19. And I will betroth you to myself forever. Yet I will betroth you to myself in righteousness, judgment, and in mercy, and in tender compassion. And I will betroth you to myself in faithfulness, and you will know Yahweh. And it will come to that. This is talking about a revelation event, people, a future event. In that day, said Yahweh, I will listen to the heaven and it shall listen to the earth, and the earth shall listen to the grain, and the wine, and the oil, and he shall listen to Israel, and I will sow her to me on the earth, and I will love her. Now, isn't that interesting? That's what the new heaven, the new earth, or the renewed heaven and the renewed earth, that's what's going to take place, just kind of like it says right here. You can also, so that is in the Old Testament. Here's the New Testament version of that. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. I saw a new or renewed heaven and a new or renewed earth, for the former heaven and the former earth has passed away, and the sea is no more. Well, that's interesting. What do you mean the sea is no more? What do you mean by that? What does that look like? Well, it is not a new idea, but when the Lord comes back, essentially, it talks about how there's going to be a judgment upon the earth, and it's not going to be done by water, but it's going to be done by fire. After this fire, the earth will be transformed. This is a common thing. You can read it and look for yourself. I don't have the verses in front of me, but you can look through the Paul, Peter, and John talk about how there's going to be judgment of fire on the earth. So it's something to consider. So, and this is one of the things that's one of the things that'll take place when this happens. Then I will cause my elect one to dwell among them, and I will transform the heaven and make an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the earth and make it a blessing, and I will cause my elect ones to dwell upon it. Here's the kicker. But the sinners and the evildoers will not set foot thereon. For I have provided and satisfied with peace my righteous ones, and have caused them to dwell before me. But for the sinners, there is judgment impending with me, so that I will destroy them from the face of the earth. Proverbs 10:30. I'll read it for you. Some of you might not be familiar with this. Proverbs 10:30 states this, or 9:30. Oh, let me find out. Yeah, Proverbs 10:30. The righteous will never fail, but the unrighteous will not dwell on earth. This also takes back um, Enoch chapter 38. It says, and shall be driven from the when the congregation appear. That's what we're talking about in Revelation. That's what we're talking about, and we're going to be talking Daniel here in a second. When the Messiah returns and the congregation of the righteous is when right sinners will be judged for their sins and will be driven off the face of the earth. Guys, this is a big deal. This is something that we should really know something about, because I guarantee you, the common church, whatever you've been told in church, is not going this route. I've been in Pentecostal churches, I've been in Southern Baptist churches, I've been in non-denominational churches, and you name it, I have been in some form or another, and they never talk about these things, nor do they know them. Why? Because they are not reading their scriptures at all. They don't do it. They just do not do it. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Zach, do you have anything to add on 40?
Yeah, geez Louise, can you hear me? My computer's being dumb. Can you hear me?
What's that, Zach?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's up?
Um, well, we didn't cover Isaiah 65, so we'll read over that. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Isaiah 65, verse 16. Oh, Zach, did you get that Hosea one added into the new heaven and new earth?
yeah, I'll put it in there.
Hosea 2:21, I think it was. All right. All right. I'm going to go back to 65 verse 16. Okay. Actually, I'll go back to 15. For you shall leave your name as a loathing for my chosen. Uh-oh, that Bakar, that word, is that showing up on your screen there? Bakar, for my chosen. That word chosen right there is Bakar. Hmm. For for you shall leave your name as a loathing for my chosen. Man, that's important to know. And Yahweh will destroy you. He's talking about the wicked, the unrighteous on the earth. But my servants will be called by a new name, will be blessed on the earth. For they shall bless the true Elohim, and those that swear on the earth will swear by the true Elohim. For they will forget the former affliction. What affliction? This we're going to cover this topic in a second. What affliction? In America, it doesn't really exist that much. But prior to America, what was propagated by the Roman Catholic Church on people who did what me and you are doing right now, which is studying the scriptures, they were stripped, businesses taken away from them, children taken away from them. They were afflicted on every front and killed and murdered for studying the way that we're studying right now. They shall forget the former affliction, it will not come into their mind. For there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and they will not at all remember the former, neither will they at all come into their mind. They, who is the they? Those we're going to get into. Remember this verse, remember this deal in Isaiah, because we're going to get into that in the latter part of verse 46 or chapter 46. That this verse in Isaiah is an end time thing, into the world as we know it. So, as the song goes. All right. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before I move forward?
Yeah, I got stuff on 45 though.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll shut up now.
So something that I think is really important is to understand that if we go all the way back to Genesis, right? We go back to the garden. There are two kinds of people that we can be. There is two kinds of people that Adam and Eve can be. Either those who are obedient and obey the Father, right? And we listen to the instructions, we listen to the guidance, and we heed the warnings, or those who choose another route. If we jump forward to Noah, think about this. Noah preached for 120 years. Why was Noah spreading the word for 120 years? So that those with an ear to hear were able to hear. down into Abraham. With Abraham, Abraham could have been one of two people, one who does the will of the Father and one who doesn't. We go down to the Messiah, right? When Yeshua's walking the earth, it's very simple. He says there's two kinds of people: those who do the will of my Father who's in heaven, and those who do not. In the book of Revelation, there's two kinds of people, right? Those who have the testimony of Yeshua, the Messiah, and keep the commandments of the Father. So, in simple words, those who do the will of the Father. We've covered this a lot of times, right? But what essentially is the will of the Father? And I don't have this in my notes, but as we were reading, I started thinking about it. Because we have to separate what is a sinner, who is a sinner, right? Because Enoch's talking about two kinds of people. What is it, Kenny? 648?
It's yeah, it's six
Sorry, guys.
it's six 6:30. I'm sorry. Oh, let me get my glasses on. Oh my goodness,
638.
getting old sucks.
638.
37. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So essentially, who are these two groups of people? And this is what life boils down to: two groups of people. Those who want to and do the will of the Father, and those, for whatever reason, don't, right? And it says 38. This is John 6:38. Because I have come down out of the heaven, not to do my own will, desire, but the desire or the will of him who sent me. This is the will of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me I will not lose, but will raise it in the last day. This is the will of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son sees Yeshua the Messiah and believes in him will, the word should doesn't work in Greek, it's will, possess everlasting life, and I will raise him in the last day. So think about this, right? All through Scripture, we see this common idea that there's two decisions. Either I'm going to do the will of the Father, or I'm going to do the will of somebody or something else. That's the two groups of people from the beginning. That's the two groups of people throughout history. That's the two groups of people in the end. Now, when we're reading in Enoch and we're in chapter 45, Enoch makes a clear distinction. The set apart ones, right? And the sinners. This is what Enoch sees. This is who Enoch sees. He sees set apart ones and sinners. Notice how there's not a third group of like kind of good people. There's not like, oh, here we have the 5 kinds of people who are saved and the 3 kinds of people who aren't. There are those who are set apart, who are doing the will of the Father. And in order to do the will of the Father, you must see and believe in the Son. So any of these people that are, oh, well, I just do all the commandments that God has told me. That's great. But if you have the Son, you have nothing. But all those people that say, oh, I have the Son, but I don't do the will of the Father, I just do whatever I want. That's great. You have the Messiah, but you're doing whatever you want. So when we're looking at this and we're thinking about this, it's very simple. The set apart ones, the elect ones, you can replace these with those who do the will of the Father. And the word sinner, you can just replace with those who do not do the will of the Father. Because at the end of the day, that's what all of this boils down to. If we look in Isaiah, we see the two kinds of people. We look in Hosea, we see the two kinds of people. We look in Revelation, we look in Joel, we look in Daniel, we look in Matthew, we look in Deuteronomy. We look in the end. Remember, when Moses is standing there in the valley of decision, right? Which in Revelation we see the valley of Josaphat, right? And we see that he sets up two mountains, a mountain of blessing and a mountain of curses. There's not a third mountain of the mountain of the indecisive or the mountain of the in between where we're just kind of like, I'm kind of good, kind of bad, right? That's like saying I cut off my right pant leg so I can wear shorts and pants at the same time. We don't want to be confused. And we should all know, right, that either we're doing the will of the Father and therefore we can fall into the classification, the set apart ones, or we could not do the will of the Father and fall into the classification of sinners. But if we don't establish, right, John helps us with this, but if we don't establish this sinners and set apart, right, we don't know who we are. It's hard for us to fit into the group that we should be in. Right? If I don't know where I should be, then how do I know what to do? And this is coming from 1 John chapter 3. Right? And he says, everyone doing sin, a sinner, also does lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. If you just click on this, we can see everyone who's doing sin is breaking God's law, right? Everyone who practices sin practices lawlessness. Everyone who committing sin commits lawlessness. Whoever commits sin transgresses the law. And in a nutshell, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a speed limit? Are we talking about something? We're talking about the instructions that the Father has given us throughout all of time. So the teachings of the Messiah are a more in-depth view and understanding of the instructions of the Father. That's all this is. Everyone who disobeys the Father sins, because sinning is disobedience. Now, if we take this back into the book of Enoch, right? Enoch also separates these people into two categories: the set apart ones, the elect ones. And then the other ones, the ones who did not, right? The sinners. And who are the sinners? They've denied the name. They are preserved for the day of suffering and tribulation. And they do not set foot where the righteous, set apart, elect. These words have different meanings to a degree, but they're all interchangeable, right? Like a righteous man or woman can also be a just man or a just woman, which could also be an obedient man or a woman, right? Obedience to the Father. So what we see in the book of Enoch and how Enoch classifies these people and end times and kind of what's going to happen, we can go back into the canon and see, okay, cool. The two groups of people that Enoch's describing and what's going to happen to them and kind of that not reward, but in a sense reward that the elect ones receive, right? It does match with scripture. It matches with the canon. All right. You're good.
All right.
I'll jump in here. I'll jump in before we hit preeminence.
Okay, cool. Um, okay. One thing, what Zach was saying when he was reading through the lawlessness, like in our crappy American English language, we think, oh, you're not over the speed limit, you're lawless. That is the wrong understanding of lawlessness. Think of it this way, less. Remember, these are Jewish and predominantly writing to Jewish people. They could care about following the law. They hate the Roman Empire that they're currently subjugated to. Let's look at what is a form thing of a person, the Torah, but one that is seeking a relationship with the Father. What would be the thing there? It's not lawless. That's just a bad translation. Everyone has breaks Torah. Put the proper there, the proper understanding there. And what that begins to do is it begins to change our vocabulary. It changes it. All right. So we're fixing to get 46. So just know that lawlessness is not, oh, you're not you're not following these laws of the land. It's Torah less. They're not they're not observing the feast days. They're not observing the uh, uh, principles, precepts, and statutes laid out in the Torah. That's what this lawless or Torahlessness is. Not follow these simple commands. It is what it is. Okay. I hope you have your notepads ready. Pencils. Let me sharpen my pencil while we're at it. Pencil is sharpened. Okay. Chapter 46. I'm just going to section and going to backtrack. And there was I saw one had a head of days, and his head was white wool, and with him was another being whose countenance had the appearance of a man, and his face was full like one of the holy angels. And I asked the angel who went with me and showed me all the hidden things concerning that Son of Man, who he was, whence he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he answered and said, this is the Son of Man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasuries of that which is hidden. Right. So this is the first place in parables where the word Son of Man comes on the scene. If you will to John chapter 5, verse 2 through 7. Let me get to it. John 5, 22 through 27. What I talked about earlier when we first got started, when this judgment is going to be given to the Son, and the Son in turn is going to be given judgment to the elect. Okay, check this out. Verse 22, John chapter 5. For the Father judges no one, but has given all judgment to the Son, that all should value the Son, even as they value the Father. He who does not value the Son does not value the Father who sent him. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in him who sent me possesses everlasting life, and does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. Truly, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of Elohim, and those having heard will live. He's talking about the dead up to the point where the Messiah came, everyone is dead. Think about that. The dead, these people walking around him, listening to what he's saying, they're dead men walking. At the moment they start believing his words and his words are entering into them and the word is staying, at that moment, having heard the words that the Messiah came to do, that's when life came into them. As the Father possesses life in himself, so he gave also the Son to possess life in himself. He has given him authority also to do judgment. Why? Because he is the son of Adam, the son of man. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is important. This is extremely important. So right now, we're starting to understand something. Wait a minute. He just wasn't randomly talking about something. When he keeps saying over, how many times did when we first started this study, we counted how many times he labeled himself as the Son of Man. Hold on, and I'll give you those verses. Uh, in the book of Matthew, he refers to himself as the Son of Man 32 times. In the book of Mark, he refers to himself as the Son of Man 13 times. In the book of Luke, 25 times. And in the book of John, 10 times. When he tells them plainly, I am the Son of Man, the rabbis knew what he was talking about. He is in a different classification because they knew this. This was common literature. This was common Jesus's day. And his day was common literature. So let's read that and pay close attention. There I saw one who had a face. His head was white like wool. With him was another being whose countenance had the appearance of a man. His face was full of graciousness like one of the holy angels. I asked the angel who went with me and showed me all the things concerning that Son of Man, who he was, whence he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he said to me, phone's blowing up. Hold up one second, guys. Oh, hold on one second. Hold on. Just bear with me a second. I'm reinstalling Zoom on my phone and I'm at like 96%. Just wait 1 second. Yeah, we got a bad thunderstorm going on right here. Right now it's like black outside, so 89%. I'm almost there. Just bear with me 1 second.
Hey guys, we'll just take like a 2 or 3 minute little break for Kenny to re-sign into Zoom on his phone. So if you guys want to like use the restroom or get a drink of water or something, or we'll just give him like a couple minutes and then we'll jump back on. Sorry.
I'm in. I'm here. Can you? I'm. Can you? Let me turn my volume down. There we go.
Hang up on your other one,
Okay.
or
Already
can you?
did. Well, I've already shut that sound down. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here in the Great Plains of Missouri. Screen. Just bear. This will work out just. Can Can you hear me, Zach? No.
It sounds kind of sketchy. I don't know.
Hold on. Man, I hate this technology. It sucks.
I mean, I don't know. It may I mean I mine plugged into the wall, so I don't think it's mine. Is everybody else? Anybody else? I guess if it's just me that can't hear, that's okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, all right. What was the last normal thing that you heard come out of my mouth?
You just read. Uh,
Okay, so did everyone hear John chapter 5?
yeah. Yeah, we heard that.
Okay, all right. So I'm back in Enoch chapter 46, verse 3. Concerning that son of man, who he was, whence he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he answered and said to me, this is the son of man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasuries which are hidden. Okay. What this does is this moves us back in time. We're going to go back to Daniel chapter 7. And this is the beginning of some end times understanding. We find out what things are by finding out what they are not. Okay. So, what we got here. All right. Daniel chapter 7 I saw until the thrones were set, and the Ancient of Days sat, and his garments was white as snow, and the hair of his head was pure wool. His throne was a flame of fire, and his wheels a burning fire. A stream of fire drew out from before him. Thousands ministered to him, and 10,000s of myriads attended to him. The judgment sat, and the books were opened. I could have sworn we've read that before, books being opened. This comes into an important role later on. But let's just look at this Ancient of Days, or Head of Days, real quick. Obviously, in Enoch, it says he's the head of days. This is not an understanding as, oh, he's the department head of this project, and this person over here is the department head of that project. No, nothing like that. It's literally, physically, a head of days, meaning his hair is white and old, long. A head of days. This is where that term Ancient of Days comes in. Notice back in Enoch, what says, this son of man approached the Ancient of Days, or he went with the Ancient of Days. If the Ancient of Days is the Father, and the Son of Man, which Yeshua already said he is the Son of Man, and he went with the Father, this is further proof that the idea of the Trinity is complete baloney. It's garbage. It's a garbage theology. Actually, it was put out by Valentina in the year 400 AD. Up to that point, it was never even a thing. It's a false doctrine. So you can, whenever you want to, you can look into that. However, it's a very interesting thing how the Son of Man went with the Ancient of Days. Well, let's read a little bit further down in Daniel and see what that looks like. If you go to Daniel 7, verse 13, I saw in the night vision, and look, one coming with the clouds of heaven as the Son of Adam, or the Son of Man. And he approached the Ancient of Days, or the Head of Days, and was brought near to him. And to him was given the dominion and the honor and the kingdom. And all nations, tribes, and languages will serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which will not pass away, and his kingdom will not be destroyed. Oh boy. So essentially, we haven't gotten further into 46 yet, but if we look at just these two main passages here, and we look at these two passages, these two verses in Enoch, they're saying the exact same thing. But wait, there's more. You remember when I said the Father is going to give judgment to the Son? Well, we just read that. We just read that in two places. Kenny, what are you talking about when the Son is going to give judgment to those who are putting their trust in him? Well, remember that verse in Revelation 20, verse 2? I can prove it. Daniel chapter 7, verse 22. I'm going to back it up to 21. I saw, and that horn made war with the set apart ones and prevailed against them, till the Ancient of Days came, and he gave judgment to the set apart ones, plural, of the Elion. And the time came on, and the set apart ones possessed the kingdom. Remember where we read earlier in the last chapter of Enoch, I will cause my elect one to dwell among them. I will transform the heaven and make an eternal blessing and light. Interesting. This is saying the exact same thing. Okay. Well, I saw that horn made war with the set apart ones and prevailed against them. Just keep that. If you got your coloring crayons out, circle that, because that's going to come into a play when I was talking a little bit about the Catholic Church earlier. This will play. We're going to get into that in a little bit later when we get into some other identifying markers of what that looks like. See, people look at the when Yeshua was when he's talking to the disciples, and he said, when are these things going to be? When are they going to take place? When's the end of the age? They ask him three main questions. He says, all these things will happen in this generation. And they did. All those things happened in 70 AD, actually 66 AD, when the temple was sacked. And that's going to happen in the future. No, that has already happened. That has already taken place. If you read the book of Josephus, we went through this last year. And I took you and showed you the news accounts of the day of what happened, all the signs and wonders that happened, that took place when Titus came through and destroyed the temple. Okay, well, just like this, where it says, I saw that horn made war with the set apart ones. All these believers out here today are looking forward to a future event that's going to take place. But I submit to you that it has already taken place and is currently taking place all around the world via the Catholic Church. It's not as prevalent as it is today as it was from the year 400 AD all the way up to the year 1800s. It was very prevalent then. Many people lost their lives. When I was in England, actually, I was up in Scotland, and all the roads are cobblestone there. And you're walking along the road, and then all of a sudden you look down at one of the cobblestones, and they'll be written, this person was burned at the stake right here. Walk down a couple more feet. This saint or whatever was burned at the stake here. Who was burning these people at the stake? It was the Catholic Church. And it was always because of heresy, because what we're talking about here today is the same thing that was getting them burned at the stake yesterday or back then. This isn't the only place around the world that the Catholic Church has done that. Scotland, England, France, Turkey, Rome, specifically Rome. Oh my gosh. So when I saw that horn make war with the set apart ones and prevailed against them, where have we heard that before? That same wordage is used in the book of Revelation. Let me continue that real quick. This stuff is extremely important for us to know, because if we know the truth, it's easy to spot the lies. If we know that, and I had by the way, I had always had this suspicion because I read Telltale of Mystery Babylon, the mystery on the harlots. I always had my suspicion it was the Roman Catholic Church. I am not the one to come up with that idea. Sir Isaac Newton, upon his reading of the book of Daniel and Revelation, came away with the same understanding that it was the Roman Catholic Church. All right. So let me find this little verse real quick. All right. Hold on one second. All right. Revelation 13:7. Get my little crayon out so I don't have to look at this. Revelation 13:7. Okay, remember in Daniel, we just got reading, and I saw that horn make war with the set apart ones and prevailed against them. Revelation 13:7 states, and it was given to him to fight with the set apart ones and to overcome them. And authority was given to him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. See, many of the believers are looking for something to come. Like I said that it has already taken place and taking place. You can think I'm crazy. That's fine. I probably, okay. So that's important. This Son of Man. All right. We covered Daniel, about the Ancient of Days, how the Son of Man comes near to the Ancient of Days, and the Ancient of Days gives him all dominion, honor, and the kingdom. Those are two different things. He gives them dominion, gives them the honor, and the kingdom. And all nation, tribes, and languages will serve him. The Son gets everything. It's really cool. And the Son, in turn, gives to his elect ones, plural, judgment to sit on those 12 thrones that the Messiah talked about earlier in the book of Matthew. Okay, so back to Enoch 46:3. And he answered and said unto me, this is the Son of Man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasures of that which is hidden. Okay, well, guess what? Guess what? That is not the only place something like that has been talked about. If we go to Deuteronomy 29:29, I refer to this often throughout the year. It says this, the secret things belong to Yahweh, our Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. Oh boy. Oh boy. So when we are studying, like diligently studying God's word like our life depended on it, which it does, those that seek me will find me. That's what Yeshua said. But you have to seek. You can't just, like, osmosis doesn't really work. I can't stick this Bible on my head and hope it just sinks in somehow without me actually going down and actually studying this stuff like my life depends on it. So Yeshua is the one that reveals all the treasures that are hidden. So when we find these cool things, it's Yeshua that reveals them to us. All right. And Zach, you have something beyond this, and I'll stop right there.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so I mean, just right before I jump into this, kind of think about what Kenny just said, that Yeshua reveals he has this infinite amount of wisdom that me and you and everybody else can benefit from. And as you said that, before I go into what I want to go into, if we go back to the book of John, I think it's John 4, the woman at the well. Is it John 4? Yeah. All right, I'll make it quick, but I'm going to read this. Okay, ready? And I want you to think about what's being said, right? This conversation, okay? So Yeshua gets to Samaria with his disciples, and they go in town to go buy food, right? And Yeshua is sitting by a fountain, a well, right? And this is not just any well, right? This is the well of Samaria that Jacob dug. This is kind of an important place, okay? So he's sitting there, and guess what? A woman of Samaria comes to draw water. And Yeshua says to her, "Give me to drink." For his taught ones had gone off in the city to buy food. The woman of Samaria therefore said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, asks a drink of me, a woman of Samaria?" For Yehudim, the Jews, do not associate with the Samaritans. Yeshua answered her and said, "If you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is that says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." So think about that, right? He's sitting there, and this woman comes up, and he's like, "Hey, woman, get me a drink." Maybe, or something along those lines, right? And this woman looks at him and is like, "Why are you talking to me? Your kind don't speak to my kind, especially a woman from my people." Now, we went back into this a while ago, but if you want to make a note on the side of your Bibles, and you can go back and look into this, why the Samaritans and the Jews have such a contention. And if you go all the way back to the kings of Israel, Samaria was the first establishment of a kingdom outside the king. So they cry for a king, and the father says, "No, I'm your king." Like, "Well, I'm your king. You want a physical king?" And they're like, "Yeah, give us a physical king." And he's like, "All right." He's gonna take your sons to war, and they're gonna die. He's gonna take your daughters as wives, and then also you're gonna work and slave away, and he's gonna come and harvest from your work. So sure, if you really want a king, sounds good. And then he ends up giving him Saul. Saul does evil before the eyes of the Father, and then he strips the kingdom of Saul, gives it to David. David has it for a rather long time. David sleeps with a woman named Bathsheba. David goes into a dark spot. One of David's sons, Absalom, branches away from David. And this is where we first see a rupture in the father's people. And we see two kingdoms arise from this rupture: the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah. So Judah and Benjamin remain loyal to David, the anointed. And the other 10 tribes of Israel, they go off and they form Israel. Okay? So there's two kingdoms. They set up base in Samaria. A son from the tribe of Ephraim sets up as the first king of Israel, and they set up in Samaria. They build a temple there. They perform sacrifices there. They tell people to come and do feasts there. not to go to Jerusalem like they were instructed, but to come to Samaria. So there is a huge history, and it goes all the way back to David, of why the Samaritans and the Jews dislike each other. Part of the Samaritans also is they used a lot of idol worship, which we know is not good. They use a lot of idol worship. So, kind of long-winded, but this is why this woman is saying, hey, why would you ask me, a Samaritan? You don't even like us. And his response is not, oh, yeah, you're right. Why am I talking to you? Or, well, I could kind of talk to whoever I want. Doesn't matter. His response is, if you knew the gift of the Father and who it is that's asking you for a drink, you would be asking me, right, for living water. You'd be asking me for this thing that quenches the thirst that everybody has, right? And the woman says to him, Master, you have no vessel and the well is deep. From where do you have this living water, right? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well and drank from it himself and his sons and his cattle? And Yeshua answered and said, everyone drinking of this water will thirst again. Everyone drinking of this well that you're telling me is so great, they'll thirst again. But whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. And the water I give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. So, saying that Yeshua has this ultimate wisdom, right? These, in a sense, secret things, right? That can be revealed to everybody. This is what Yeshua is saying to this woman, right? Like, I have the ability to give you something that you cannot gain upon this earth. And this thing that I can give you, it will spring up into you everlasting life. So, in Deuteronomy, we see a secret, right? The secret things that belong unto the Father. And these things that are revealed that belong to us. Who's the us? The us is the children. The us is the same us that I talked about earlier in Enoch, the set apart ones. Those who are choosing to do the will of the Father and not the will of someone or something else. That's the us. Right? So think about Yeshua being this wealth of wisdom and knowledge that nowhere else has there and will there be an ability to obtain this kind of knowledge. So here we are in Luke chapter 8, and he says, and it came to be afterward, when he went through every city and village, proclaiming and bringing the good news. What is this? We've talked about this before, but you should highlight this and say, hey, what's this good news? Right? The good news of the reign of Elohim. And the 12 were with him. And a certain woman who was healed of wicked spirits and sickness, Miriam, called from Magdala, out of whom had come 7 demons. This is a side note, but while you're here, you can highlight it, right? This is Mary Magdalene, the one that walks around with them. And Johanna, the wife of Cus, manager of Herodias and Shoshana, and many followers who provided for him from their resources. So Yeshua is walking in, and it's the 12 disciples that we know. It's Miriam, Johanna, right? Shosharian, or Shoshana, however you say it, and many others. So he has a crowd of people that are following him. right? So it's not like a guy came in with some people, a crowd comes in. Then a large crowd gathered. And those who were coming to him from every city, he spoke a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the birds of heaven devoured it. And other seeds fell on rock, and when it grew up, it withered because it had no moisture. Couldn't put in roots. And others' seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. And other fell on good soil and grew up and yielded a crop 100-fold. Having said this, he cried, "He who has an ear, let him hear." So think about this. Yeshua, his disciples, some others walk into town. A large crowd gathers around, and they know of him. They know he is coming. They knew who he is, and they've heard of him. And right off the bat, he says, "Hey, I'm going to tell you a parable." And he tells this parable of these seeds, how some fell by the wayside and were stepped on and birds took them. They never got into the ground. Others fell on rocks, and when they tried to grow up, they're on rocks. They had no root base. They had no moisture. Eventually, they just died out. Some fell on thorns, and they grew up with the thorns, and sometime in their growing up, the weeds eventually choke it out, and it just dies. And then others fell on good soil, grew up, and they were able to produce a crop 100-fold. And then he says, "Who has ears, let him hear." Does this mean that there's people out there that do not have ears, and he was only talking to those people? No, this is the ear that the Ruach, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh gives us. When Yeshua says, "Those with ears to hear and eyes to see," right? Let them hear, let them see what the Ruach is saying, right? This is a different kind of hearing. It's a different kind of sight. So Kenny says, find out what things are by finding out what they're not, right? It's easy to spot the lies when we know what the truth is. And if we know the truth, it's easy to spot the lies. Hey, that doesn't make sense because that doesn't match with everything else we've heard. That's obviously incorrect because it doesn't match with anything of this truth that we know of, right? So verse 9, and his taught ones were asking him, saying, "What does this parable mean?" And he said, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the reign of Elohim. But to the rest in parables, that seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not understand." Right? And then he goes in to explain this parable. I know it sounds kind of silly, but just in your head right now, do your best to attempt to say the ABCs without singing the song. It's almost impossible. You're going A, B, C, D, and you're like, oh, wait, on A, B, right? Why? Because we've used something, music, melody, cadence, rhythmic, to learn something. And from a young age, we've learned that thing. And as we get older, we hold on to those things. Just like right now, I could play you a song from 15 years ago, and you haven't heard it in 15 years, and you're like, I could probably sing every word to this song, and I haven't heard it in 15 years. Right? Yeshua's using parables. He tells the disciples, you guys have been given this knowledge of the secrets of the reign of Elohim. But to everybody else, I'm going to speak in a parable. Why speak in a parable? Because you're going to remember the parable. You're going to remember the story associated with the lesson, the teaching that Yeshua is going to give. Right? And what does this mean? Right? It says, this is the parable. The seed is the word of Elohim. And those by the wayside are the ones who hear. Then the adversary comes, Hasatan, the adversary comes, takes away the word from their hearts, lest having believed, they should be saved. So they hear this word, they hear the truth, and some way, shape, form along the way, they lend their ear to the adversary. And along with their ear goes their heart. Then those who are on rock, they hear the word, they receive the word, and they're joyful, they're happy. But they have no root, meaning there's no foundation. There's no, it's like, imagine this big, beautiful tree in a pot. Well, it's only as strong when the wind comes to the base of the pot, right? Eventually that tree's just going to blow over. Why? Because there's no roots. There's not roots into a real foundation. There's roots into a pot. And this big, beautiful tree is going to get knocked over by low winds every single time. But a weaker tree, a smaller tree that's planted in good soil, its roots are so deep and so strong that it'll withstand the trial of the wind and it will not fall away. Right? That which fell among the thorns are those who have heard. They go out and are choked with worry, riches, pleasures of life, and they bring no fruit to perfection. Remember this. We're going to talk about these probably not today, but next week. Remember. So these people have heard the word and they are excited. They hear and they believe. But guess what? Life happens. Good, bad life, rich life, probably super sinful Las Vegas pleasurable life. And they're not worried about bringing their fruit to perfection. They're not worried. I got a good life here on earth. What am I? God blessed me. I have a nice house. I have a nice car. I have this. I have that. Yeah, you're right. You have the riches and the pleasures of life, and you also have the worries of life. And guess what you don't have? The Messiah, the Father, the Son, the truth. Right? Those are those thorns or those weeds that choke out any goodness that could potentially be there. And then we find the last one, right? Those that are on good soil. Those who having heard the word. So they heard the truth. What's the word? I mean, Revelation tells us the word that Yeshua, his name is the word of Elohim. So they heard the word. They heard Yeshua. They heard the teachings, the parables of Yeshua the Messiah. And they hear it with a noble and good heart. So they're reflecting on this. Think about this. They're reflecting, they're thinking, wow, how does this apply to me? Where have I gone wrong? What do I need to work on? What do I need to do? They have heard it with a noble and a good heart. And they retain it. They retain it. They keep it in themselves. They've heard the word, it's entered into their body, and they've kept it in their body. And they bear fruit with endurance. And no one having lit a lamp covers it with a vessel or puts it under a bed. He puts it on a lampstand so that those coming in see the light. Hey, I heard this good news. I heard this truth. I have the truth of the Messiah. And I'm going to go and I'm going to try my best to spread this news. I'm going to attempt to spread the truth so that others that are searching for this truth will hopefully be able to find it. I could take this truth and I could keep it inside my body and my brain and never speak to another soul, but then I'm just snuffing out the light. I've found the lamp, I've lit the lamp, and I've placed a vessel over it, or I've put it under my bed. And now the other people looking for this light, they can't find it, and they don't know. So Yeshua revealing what is hidden. Enoch says that, right? Enoch says that he'll reveal all the treasures, that which is hidden. Who reveals all the treasures? Yeshua. right? This is the Son of Man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasures, that which is hidden, because the Father has chosen him. So, I don't know why I can't ever click away from that thing. So, this revealing of those things that are hidden is the job of Yeshua the Messiah. And without him, you don't have the secrets and understanding of the Father. And think about that. If you just have the Father, you don't have the secrets in which the Son's to reveal to you. And if you have the Son, but you don't care for the Father and you don't want to listen to these secrets, well, then you have the Son, but you've just like that weed, or just like that one, right? Sorry, you're this. You're the seed that fell on soil that could have grown, but instead the thorns, the weeds around you have choked you out and let you enjoy bearing no fruit. So those that only have the Son and not the Father, in the majority of the Christian world right here, this is them right here. I'm just going to do the preeminence real quick, Kenny, and then you can jump back in. Right? It says, he reveals all treasures, that which is hidden, because Yahweh Tsevaot, the Lord of spirits, has chosen him. And whose lot has the preeminence before Yahweh Tsevaot in uprightness forever. And this Son of Man whom you have seen. So if we don't know what words mean, then we don't understand what they're trying to describe. So in here, I'll make this big, right? We got the definition, preeminence. What is preeminence? The fact of suppressing all others, superiority, right? Preeminence is in essence ultimate authority, right? Superior, supremacy, greatness, excellence, distinction, above all things, surpassed all others, and is superior to all other things. So, whose lot has the preeminence, the superiority that he surpassed, who? Yeshua, surpassed all others and is now before the Father. All right, go ahead, Kenny.
All right. Okay. All right. Because the Lord of spirits has chosen him, and whose lot has superiority before the Lord of spirits in uprightness forever. And this Son of Man, whom you have seen, will raise up the kings and the mighty from their seats, and the strong from their thrones, and will loosen the reins of the strong, and will break the teeth of sinners. He will put down the kings from their thrones and kingdoms, because they do not extol and praise him, nor humbly acknowledge whence the kingdom was bestowed upon them. And he shall put down the countenance of the strong and fill them with shame. All right. When he's coming back, the day of his judgment, when he's coming back with his myriads, which is pretty crazy. Revelation 16:6 states this. 6:16. I'm sorry, 6:16. What does this look like? What does this event look like? And this Son of Man whom you've seen will raise up kings and mighty from their seats and strong from their thrones, and he will loosen their reins. When you loosen the reins on a horse, they have no more control. Like if you see someone, it's an old manner of speech, someone who's his reins are loose, meaning he's no longer has strength for control and break the teeth of sinners. What does that look like? Revelation 6:16. Actually, we'll go to 15. And the sovereigns of the earth and the great ones, or the mighty, and the rich ones, and the commanders, mighty, wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath is come. Who is able to stand? All right. This is an interesting thing to consider. These people, parents, cover your ears of your children. These people are scared shitless. They are terrified. Terror has befallen them. Their reins have been loosened. They have been rendered completely powerless. Their wealth cannot save them. It's a very interesting thing to wrap your head around. These guys have lost it completely. So much that they're talking to mountains to jump and fall on. Oh my goodness. He shall put down the countenance of the strong and shall fill them with shame, and darkness will be their dwelling. Okay. This is an important concept because the things that the Messiah talks about, people read about it and don't even really give it much thought. So let's give it a little bit of thought of some of the things that the Messiah said. Matthew 8:12. Matthew 8:12 states this. All right. I'll go to verse 11. I say to you that many shall come from the east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the reign of the heavens. But the sons of the reign will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Darkness is going to be their dwelling. Remember what he said. Darkness will be their dwelling. Yeshua is claiming the fact that, and these sons that he's talking about here, the sons of the reign, these are the descendants of Abraham and Isaac. They will be cast out into outer darkness. Yeshua is authenticating what Enoch is talking about. Let's go on. Matthew 22. Matthew 22. It's interesting. People don't, this knowledge of being cast out into outer darkness, it's rarely mentioned in the Torah. Think about this. That it's significant. Also, later on, or the next sentence, it says, worms will be their bed. Ask yourself this question. How does Yeshua know this? I'll back it up to 11. And when the sovereign came in to view the guest, he saw there a man who had not put on a wedding garment. And he said to him, friend, how did you come in here not having a wedding garment? He was speechless. Then the sovereign said to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away. Throw him out into the outer darkness. there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Well, what is this wedding garment he's talking about? What is it? What is this raiment of a wedding garment that he's talking about? In Revelation, it talks about, he advises one of the churches says, "Come to me, buy gold from me." Yeshua is talking to the people of this assembly, this church. "Come to me and buy gold that does not wear out. Come to me and buy white raiment to hide your shame. Come to me and buy salve for your eyes that you could see clearly." Well, that right raiment is our trust upon the Messiah, knowing that he took our sin, in fact, away, and he delivered it to Azazel for us. Oh boy, that is the white raiment, and there's many people who do not believe that or understand that. They do not have white raiment, if that's the case. Matthew 25, verse 30. All right. This is the parable of the talents. Look at what it says. I'll go to, they just got done telling Jesus, "Hey, look, this is what we did, and this is how much we earned." And I'm in verse 26, Matthew 25, verse 26. "And his master answering said to him, 'You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not yet scattered seed. Then you should have put my silver with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore, take away the talent from him and give it to him who possesses 10 talents. For everyone who possesses more will be given, and he shall have overflowingly. But from him who does not possess, even take what he possesses, shall be taken away. And throw the worthless servant out into the outer darkness, and there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Okay, so in this concept of outer darkness, it's always with weeping and gnashing of teeth. Oh boy, not a good place to be. Isaiah 66:24. And I'm trying to go fast. Isaiah 66:24 states this. Okay. This kind of falls in line with the next sentence where the worms will be their bed. So I'm going to start at 66, verse 22. "As for the new heaven and the new earth, which I make remain before me, said Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name continue. And it shall come to pass from month to month, from Shabbat to Shabbat, that all souls will come and shall worship before me in Jerusalem, says Yahweh. And they shall go out and see the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm will not die, and their fire will not be quenched, and they will be a spectacle to all souls." Oh boy. Okay. Well, according to my Strongs, this is about the only place in the Old Testament where it talks about worms. Go figure. But Enoch also talks about it. But before we go there, Yeshua talked about some worms too. Let's go to Mark 9:44. Mark 9:44 through 48. Okay. I'm going to back it up to 42. "Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. And if your hand makes you stumble, cut it off. It's better for you to enter into life crippled than having two hands and go into Gehenna. into unquenchable fire, where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. And if your foot makes you stumble, cut it off. It's better for you to enter into life crippled than having 2 feet to be thrown into Gehenna, into the unquenchable fire, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. If your eye makes you stumble, pluck it out. It's better for you to enter into the reign of Elohim with 1 eye than having 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of Gehenna, where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. Okay. In all the New Testament, that's the only places where worm is used. Interesting. Enoch is talking about these things: outer darkness, the worm, and fire. Oh my gosh. All right. So, talking about these kings and thrones that we read about in Revelation, and here in Enoch, these people, these common people that have power over the earth to this day, they will have no hope of rising from their beds because they do not extol the name of the Lord of spirits. These are they who judge the stars of heaven. All these people that have sentenced the believers to death, stripped their wealth from them, whatever little they had, took their children away from them. Remember, we talked about it. I point you back to chapter 43, where it talks about the stars of heaven are the elect and the chosen. These are they who judge the stars of heaven, who raise their hands against the Most High and tread upon the earth and dwell upon it. And all their deeds manifest unrighteousness, i.e., lawlessness, i.e., Torahlessness. And their power rests upon their riches, and their faith or their trust is in the gods that they have made with their hands, and deny the name of the Lord of spirits. What does one of the things that the Catholic Church tell you? It is a very unwise thing to pray out and call to the Messiah. It's a very dangerous thing. That's what they say. They denied the Lord of spirits in that one instance. They kneel down before a statue of Mary or whatever, something made with their hands. Very interesting thing. So these people who have judged the stars of heaven, let's look closely at what they do. They persecute the houses of his congregations and the faithful who hang upon the name of the Lord of spirits. What does it mean to be hanging upon the Lord of spirits? By believing that Yeshua is the Messiah, and Jesus tells us, if you're trusting upon me, I will raise you up in the last day. You do not have to pay penance. You do not have to pay for your salvation. You do not have to do any of these things. You do not have to dress a certain way. You do not have to do any of this. All you need to do is trust upon me. What is it that I'm trusting the Messiah about? That he has taken my iniquity from me. It was put on him, and he delivered it to Azazel. There again, Leviticus chapter 16. You should know this like the premier thing. It is just as important as reading the Gospels, specifically John. You need to know what the Messiah has done for you. In churchianity, oh, I love Jesus. He died for my sins. He did more than that. He took me and put it to Azazel. Is more. Meaning, in what Peter was talking about in 2 Peter, he goes, these people, they have forgotten that their sins are forgiven them. Meaning they have turned away from keeping Jesus's words in their mind and in their heart, and went to pursue other things. They have forgotten that their sins were forgiven them. Well, this runs into a problem. We'll discuss that next week. And oh my goodness, next week we're going to be covering some very interesting things in the book of Revelation that deal with chapter 47. However, we cannot get into it today. It's just too much information. However, we are in covering Daniel. We covered a pretty good bit in Revelation, and you can begin to see how these things are talking about future events, and some of these events have already taken place. It's a very fascinating thing. But if you want to know about as far as Daniel goes, if you want to understand and know about the 10 beast and the one horn that comes up out of the 10 beast, I strongly recommend that you pick up the book of Daniel Revelation, The Observances of Daniel Revelation by Isaac Newton, the inventor from the 1600s. He tells you who the 10 nations are and the one that rises up in the middle. And he does it by cross-comparing information that the angel gave Daniel when he discussed the bear and the nations, Persia. He goes, well, if this is the case, if this pattern holds true, then he lays quite the framework for some suspicions that I had already had. But if you want that type of information, if you're interested in that information, don't hesitate. The book is cheap. It costs maybe $15. That's a Happy Meal at McDonald's. There you go. But that's it for today.
I got stuff before we.
Sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
So remember when we were reading earlier in Luke, right? And I said, hey, remember this, the riches, these rich people, right? Well, remember, Enoch talks about he shall put down the countenance of the strong, he shall fill them with shame, darkness will be their dwelling, worms will be their bed, right? Take them from the high place, from their thrones, pull them down, because they're not exalting and praising him, right? Well, remember when we had just read Revelation 6. Look who's requesting the rocks to fall upon them and hide them from the face of him sitting on the throne and the wrath of the Lamb. So these people that they're talking about are these unrighteous sinners. So remember the two classifications of people, right? Who do we want to be? So I'm going to read this really quick. So back to the kings of Israel, right? The kings of the father's people. Along the way, they're just pretty much mainly evil, right? Some of them do good, and most of them are just evil. So here is a young boy. He's a boy when he takes over. He is King Josiah. Right? And I'll read this quick because it goes into what Enoch was saying. Remember this. Enoch says what? Their faith is in the gods in which they've made with their hands an idol. Right? They're denying his name by calling on the name of some other god, right? So it was reported by the word of the king, and the king had gathered all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem to himself. And the king went to the house of Yahweh, and every man of Judah and all who dwelt in Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant. So Josiah, King Josiah, is going through some stuff, and they find the Torah. This is the same book of the covenant that is sitting in the Ark of the Covenant that Moses puts in there with some manna, the rod of Aaron, right? This is the book of the covenant that Josiah finds, and he reads it and realizes, oh my goodness, we have strayed so far from what the Father intended us. So he reads the book of the covenant that was found in the temple, and the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Father to walk after him, keep his commandments, his testimonies, ordinances, with all the heart, all of his soul, to confirm the words of his covenant, even the writing of the book, and all the people stood to the covenant. Go back and see what happens when Moses does this, right? Think about that. And the king commands Caiaphas, the high priests, and the priests of the second order, and them that keep the door, to bring out of the temple all the vessels that were made for Baal, strange god, and for the grove, and all the hosts of heaven, strange gods. He burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kedron. He took the ashes of them to Bethel, and he burned the idolatrous priests whom the kings of Judah had appointed. And they burned incense in the high places in the cities of Judah and the places around Jerusalem. Them that burned the incense to Baal and to the sun and to the moon and to Mazroth and the hosts of heaven. And he carried out the grove from the house of Yahweh into the brook of Kedron and burned it the brook of Kedron and reduced it to powder and cast its powder on the sepulchres of the sons of the people. And he pulled down the house of the Sodomites that were in the house of Yahweh, where all the women wove tents for the grove. And he brought up all the priests from the cities of Judah and defiled high places where the priests burned incense, from Gibel to Beersheba. And he pulled the house of the gates that was by the door, the gate of Joshua, the ruler of the city, and the man's house to the left. So, just for time's sake, I'm not going to read all this. You can finish reading the rest of 23. He destroys and burns and breaks all of the idol, the trees of Asherah, the groves, the chambers of his all this stuff, he destroys it. Why? These are all idols. What does Enoch say? Their faith is in the gods in which they have made with their hands. So King Josiah gets the covenant, right? He gets the book of the covenant, and he realizes, oh man, we've been so far off, right? If you just go back a little bit, right, you'll see that Josiah is like, hey, let's fix the temple. This is 2 Kings 22. Let's fix the temple. And then as he's fixing it, they said, hey, check out this book I found. I have found the book of the Torah in the house of the Father. He ends up reading it, and that's when he realizes, right? And it came to pass when he heard the words of the book of the Torah, he ripped his garments, and he commanded Caiaphas the priest, and Achan the son of Shaphan, and Achbor the son of Maacah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Esaias the king's servant, saying, go, inquire of Yahweh for me, and for all the people, and for all Judah, concerning the words this book has been found, that the wrath of the Father that has been kindled against us is great, because our fathers listened not to the words of this book, and to do according to all things that were written concerning us. Think about that. The people in the end, in the Revelation, are saying what? Who is able to withstand his wrath? So, what does this look like? I got some pictures for you, and then we'll wrap it up. Right? What does this look like? Think about this, okay? He says that there's unrighteous deeds. These unrighteous deeds that these people are doing. Right? Can you guys see hopefully you guys can still see my screen. Does anybody know what that is? that woman's holding on to? You're right. That's the feet of Saint Peter. Or, I'm sorry, Apollo. This is the feet. This is the toes of a statue that has been worn down by people rubbing and kissing it. This used to be toes, but the Catholic Church and all of its wisdom and knowledge has convinced the people to kiss and worship an idol. I mean, I know the Messiah told Peter, hey, you're going to be the rock, right? Caiapha, the rock, it's literally his name. But he didn't literally mean, hey, you're going to be a rock and people are going to kiss your feet. Right? So what is this? What does it look like when the people's faith is in the gods in which they made with their hands? Oh, that's right. Here we go. Check it out. What's this? You guys remember that in the book of Not Found in the Gospels where he said, worship my mother Mary, make shrines unto her, burn incense unto her. Remember that in the book of That Didn't Come in My Gospels, edition 12. Well, what are these poles of Asheroth? Oh, that's not a pole of Asheroth, right? That's an obelisk. And this is Egyptian. We know the Egyptians are bad, right? So obviously the Egyptians would have some weird deity, that's actually a phallus. That's actually, if you just go back in the book of Jasher and we read about Esau killing Nimrod and Semiramis taking the only thing left of Nimrod and putting it on a pillar and worshiping it and saying this thing impregnated her. The sun god Nimrod impregnated the moon goddess Semiramis, his mother. Yes, his mother. And then all of a sudden, their offspring is Tammuz, the sun god reborn. Ezekiel has something to say about the sun god and the women weeping for Tammuz. But that's Egyptian, right? Yeah, here we go. Some more Egyptian stuff. I know this is not in Egypt, but we know this is Egyptian stuff, right? Oh, yeah, here's some more Egyptian stuff. One of these is placed outside. It's called the Washington Monument. Interesting. Oh, and then here we go. This building might look familiar. I don't know if you guys can see what's sitting right here. I don't know if anybody knows this building, but this building's kind of an important building for a mainstream religion. And if we stand here, we can kind of get a bird's. Imagine you're standing on top of here, right? Right up here. And you were to look down. This is what you'd see. Anybody know what this is?
Mystery Babylon.
Yeah. There's a guy that sits inside of here that kind of tells everybody he is Christ incarnate and that he has the power. And this little place right here, believe it or not, has its own jurisdiction, its own sovereignty. It has its own police force. It has its own military. It's its own country. This is the Vatican. Look at these statues that were not built by the Catholic Church. This is a Roman Colosseum that was repurposed. These are Roman gods. Greek and Roman mythology, it's not mythology, guys. It's religion. These were the gods. These are Apollyon. These are all of these gods. There's multiple, right? And when you come down here, all you have to do is just come in on your own time, go through, and I want you to count how many statues. Because if these are claimed to be like the Catholic Church tells you, oh, these are the disciples that look over us. Well, why is there not just 12? If these really were the disciples, why is there not 12? And who's all these other people kind of standing around here? And if these are, why are they all facing in and all paying homage to this obelisk? Help it, help it, help it. Why are they all just paying homage to this obelisk? All this stuff is not, this is not, oh wow, by accident, it ended up being right in the middle. And all of these lines just pointed to it. And all of these attention of these statues are all just facing in towards it. I want you guys to just take a step back and kind of think about this. But when Enoch is saying, hey, guys, your faith is not in the Yahweh Sebaot, the Lord of Spirits. Your faith is not in the Messiah. Your faith is in man-made, man-created, man-made, man-created gods. And if you're going to sit here and say, well, that's just a pillar, dude. That's just a statue. That's not a god. Pay attention to what an idol is, right? Pay attention. Just go back. Oh, yeah. Here is this shield in which I have engraved this said emblem, which now makes it a shield of a god, and it is going to protect me in battle. And this should be worshipped as such. So these things are a dedication to a God, not to the Father in heaven. And think about that. Why would this supposedly super heavenly place, why would this stuff even be here? If this was the truth, and this place was a temple, and this place was where the Father wanted to establish a new reign on earth, where Yeshua said, hey, you guys take over. I'm telling you right now, none of this nonsense would be here. This building would look a lot different. What's up, Kenny?
Oh, sorry. I had a senior moment. I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry. But like this is truly a huge importance as to why so many Christians, right, and believers in the Messiah are being duped by today's religion and beliefs, because they believe that these type of practices are okay and acceptable and encouraged. And in reality, what's that?
I remember now.
Go ahead.
Everyone, when you go by an older church, specifically down south, if you happen to go through to Florida or something, if you look outside of the front of every Southern Baptist church, you'll see these pillars in front. Remember, Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots. So if you look at the front entry doors, typically they have pillars, and they modify them and they close them into walk-ins. But like that right there, that is a typical Southern Baptist church, and they always have these Greek pillars in front. It's just hilarious. So if you stop and think about the book of Revelation, Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, look, all these churches, they have all these Greek pillars in front of them. It's very interesting to consider. Back when they used to pay for churches in cash, now they just buy them and loan them out. they buy them. They buy them on loan instead of paying cash for them. Yeah, but look at those wonderful Roman pillars right there,
paying homage to the gods.
That's one of the. Yeah, that right there is one of the daughters of Mystery Babylon right there. Just so you know what it looks like, there you go. A daughter, that's one of the many daughters of Mystery Babylon.
Yep. But But this is the thing, like we've said before, if you're not reading your Bible, if you're not reading scripture and you're not understanding scripture in the way Yeshua and the Father intended it, you're missing the warning signs before you're falling into delusion. You know what I mean? Like we're standing here and there's warning signs before we enter the room, before we enter the door. There's warning signs sticking right above these people's heads as they preach the word, as they preach their word, right? Not his word, but their word. Yeah, it's a lot, but and this is not just this. I mean, you look at any kind, not just Southern Baptist churches, you look at any kind of churches. Spelled statues wrong, but you look at any kind of churches, and most churches, not just Catholicism, not just this, not just that. A lot of churches will have things like this, right? This is definitely Catholic, but that's also, but they'll have a lot of stuff like this on their roofs. Oh, it's just statues of angels, right? They have a lot of imagery and idols that are sitting outside in front of, behind statues and pictures of Caesar Borgia, who everybody says is the Messiah, but in reality it's Caesar Borgia. Remember, guys, if we're not reading scripture, right, and we're not reading it to prove ourselves, and we're not reading it for understanding and wisdom and guidance, then guess what? We didn't do this. Exodus 24, you shall not make to yourself an idol, nor likeness of anything. Of anything. Whatever things are in heaven above, whatever things are in the earth beneath, and whatever are in the waters under the earth. Fantastic verse. I love this verse. You should highlight it. You will not bow down to them, bowing to the feet of Peter and kissing them. You will not serve them, Mary, saints, other things. For I am Yahweh your Elohim, a jealous Elohim, recompensing the sins of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation that hate me, bestowing mercy on them, the thousands that love me and keep my commands. There we go, right there.
This is why it says in Revelation, come out from among them and be you separate, lest you do what? Participate in their sin. What are they doing? Right here, unless you participate in that, come out. You got to come out from amongst them. Not go in, oh, I'm going to go in covertly and try to save some and I'm going to pray for some. No, you're not. Come out for yourself and be you separate.
Yeah. But guys, if we're not reading the word, we just see this as like, oh, wow, this is good. Or this is acceptable. Or this is okay. But if we read the word, we can clearly see that this kind of stuff is not okay. It's not acceptable, and we should not have any part in it.
Daddy?
All right, that's all I got for today. Anybody got any questions or anything?
You guys have a good day.
Yeah, take it easy. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next Sabbath. Have a good Sabbath, everyone.